Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, it's Summer Cleanup Part 3. So today's summer cleanup is going to be the Ninebark, and it's going to be my Portulacaria Afras. Now this Ninebark I repotted this year, and I'm not going to clean this one out. I'm just going to let it continue to grow. It was one of those trees that had a little bit of wilt early on in the year, and I must have just not given enough water at one point, and sure enough, I gave it some water that first part that I saw the wilt, and everything popped back up into shape. This one gets not full sun all day long, so it does get some rest from this hot spell we had in the mid-afternoon sun. So it gets some early sun and then some late afternoon sun. It's been a tree, the Ninebark. Someone just recently posted on the YouTube channel for me to read, but you know, I never thought about a Ninebark. And when I saw this tree about 3 years ago or so, I've had it for 3, maybe 4th summer now, and I found it at Home Depot. And it was one of the few Ninebarks that had a big solid trunk, and I said, I gotta get this. It's one of those things when you're nursery hunting, when you find something that just catches your eye, just get it. You know, 14 bucks maybe. And so I don't know if you can see, but I got a nice root going this way, a nice root going this way. When you spin it around, there's a little bit of a exposed root that's starting to come this way a little bit, and then over here there's another root. So here, 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 and here. So getting some radial root pattern on this tree. And it does lose its bark, so it's got this weird smooth bark. This tree had a little bit of a kind of a fold over in the middle, but it gave it some character. And yeah, it's one of those trees that in the springtime I always think it's dead and never coming back. So it pushes out the new growth late. So I really shouldn't push to repot this one early, because I know it's not going to push out till later. So I probably should wait. So my cleanup for right now is going to be just to cut the dead branches off, and then I'm not going to touch anything more on this. So this guy right here, for some reason, that one didn't make the cut. So we're going to cut it off. It's got the nice growth behind it. This is the older branch right here, and this is new growth all right here, 5-6 inches of new growth. So I've got ramification right there, and it gives more movement to that branch for later on. This is new growth right here this year, old growth here, new growth. So lots of new growth down here. A couple of leaves I could just pluck off here that are just on the inside here. So this one I could cut off because it's growing inside, way inside towards the middle of the tree. That's really not going to do a whole lot. So I cut that one off. There's another dead branch in here. Cut that off. Another stump right there. So a little bit of a finicky tree because of this die-off. But more leaves are growing out, and I always get more growth. I have a really, really weird piece of growth coming out from under here, but because this one died back a few inches too, I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off, but I'm going to leave that weird undergrowth. So, you know, from a distance, without focusing too much on the detail of the tree, it's a little tree that's getting a little bit thicker, trying to ramify a little bit up on top, and I'm just going to leave it grow right there. Leave it to grow some more this summer. It is the 24th of June, so we are in that part where, you know, the trees are kind of slowing down, kind of that summer dormancy, if you will. And so we're going to hope for a big push in the fall. And then we'll trim it back in the fall a little bit. We'll get it down just a little bit lower and be ready for the growth for next year. So that's all I have for the Ninebark. Now the reason why I wanted to pull the Ninebark are is because I have 2 Ninebark. So let's pull the next one out. And this one has some growth. It has so much growth that you can't see all of the tree. Ninebark number 2 is one I just picked up this year. And I picked it up and I got it into a training pot right away this spring. And it is absolutely exploded. So you want to talk about summer growth. If you can see right down here where my scissors is poking out right here, This is the bottom of this shoot right here. It goes right up to up here. 2 feet of growth. 2 feet of growth this year. That's fantastic. So it is growing so fast and so thick. It's thicker than the branch that it took over for in just one growing season. But of course, what this is all doing is growing it up to thicken the bottom trunk. So this bottom trunk also has a little bit of a taper. It's got a little bit of a root going out in the bottom here. This one right here. There's a little one you can't see right here, right there. There's one coming out in the back right here. And then some that are kind of tight to the back here. I could almost put a rock back here in a future planting because it's kind of flat, or I'll just keep working on the roots. So I haven't done a whole lot to the tree, but let it grow. And again, it's getting a little more sun than the other one. And we're gonna go ahead and give this one its first trim. So we let it grow. Now we're gonna trim it back a little bit, and we're gonna let it grow again the second half of the year, and then we'll let it go for next year. Either side could be the front, but this was the front because everything's kind of growing up and at us, I think, kind of swooping us and giving us a big old hug. Got this 90-degree branch over there, but we're gonna let this go, and I'm just gonna let it grow. I'm not gonna cut that one at all to thicken it up back there. Got some yellowing leaves in there. Just take those out. Got some bark that's peeling off. Again, it has a very almost like white paper birch bark on this that just peels off. It's just not white. So we're basically just going to shorten this thing up, and I don't know if we'll change any structure or anything. We're just going to shorten this tree up. So these branches right here are coming right at the camera, right? This one especially. So we're going to take a peek in there. And it looks like there was a chop right here, and this is both new growth this year. All solid new growth this year. Cut off the middle section that was in the middle there, not growing. And do I even want to keep these 2 branches? If I take them off, I have no structure until up here taller in the tree. But again, it's gonna back bud and give me new growth at some point. Let's start down here first. Right down here, I have 1, 2, and 3 branches all growing from the same spot. So we're going to take the one going right at the camera, take that one off. Now I have 2 left here. The back one appears stronger, so I'm going to keep the back one. So right there, I had 3 branches growing from the same spot. We don't want that. Got some peeling bark up here. Got another little branch coming down here at the junction. It's too close to anything else. We'll get rid of that one. And this one won't do us any good either down here. So these 2 are coming at the camera. This one's kind of coming at the camera. And this branch has potential to be moved. But what I could do is I'll just cut this shorter right here right now. I'll cut this shorter down to 4 leaves, and I'll cut down to 4 leaves. And I'll probably just leave that for right now. I don't want to go any smaller on that right now. I could wire this at some point, just get it going a little bit more this way to open up the tree a little bit more. I think I am going to take this guy right off because it's going into the tree. And we're going to take that one off as well. They're both in our face. And we have some buds back here growing for some 3-dimension back here that could fill in this space should it grow in a nice way. So what I'll do is I'll shorten that back branch off, cut the inside leaf off, and we'll just see what that does in the back there. Right back in there, we'll see if some light gets in there and starts growing these leaves out a little bit. That could provide some branch back there to cover this space if we need to. Now, what to do with these big growing shoots? Oh my goodness, this is a lot of growth this year. This again is curling up into our face. But if I cut him off now, we will have not a branch for a long section. It'd be nice if we can get a branch growing right there, somewhere here or here. I do know that we don't have a lot of control over where this guy is going to back bud. I still got this going right at us. If I take it off a little bit for right now, it can grow up. And now I got these three to contend with. So I got old branch with new growth, not as tall, and then this brand new thick branch that provides some nice movement, some very strong branch. Hasn't hardened off all the way at the bottom here yet. I know this is just going to become shorter. This is going to become shorter. Back here, this is going to become shorter. The birds are not happy with me. I'm too close to them, the baby birds. Yeah, you can go in there. I'm not going to hurt you. No matter what I do with this tree, that top is coming off. This top's coming off. This top's coming off. And this top's coming off. Gonna grow this way with the leader, this way, back that way, back this way. So now we just gave it a pretty hefty haircut. But that's probably not enough yet. Go down to 4 leaves, 4 leaves, about 4 leaves. This is some weird growth over here because it splits right here, then it shoots towards the camera, but there's this new branch growing there, so I'm gonna take that off. And now it opens this up right here and let this grow out this way. And I got this one right here growing off from right there, and then this can be kind of its new leader back here, if you will. So we're just cutting this to shape more, just getting it really a little bit more small and manageable, more compact. And I think that's all I'm going to do with this guy. Let's give it a once around and take a peek. I think that's good for now with the Ninebarks. So I got the other one, we just got the dead branches off. This one, we chopped it back after all of this 2-foot growth on some of them. Oh, here's another dead branch right here. Oh, clippy part right there. So we'll put this back on the benches and we'll move on now to the Portulacaria Afras. One of the reasons I love these Ninebarks, this version, when the new leaves come out, you get kind of these reds and ambers and light greens, and then it goes to a dark green. And then in the fall, they're going to go turn into that amberish color again. So there's some nice little color in there. Early in the spring, when they just come out, all of them are this amberish color. There's these reds and ambers, yellows, greens. Super cool leaf structure. Can't wait for the fall for these guys. Next up for summer cleaning is the Portulacaria Afra. So these have been outside for about a month now. They were in shade for a good 2-3 weeks and put them in the full sun for a little while. And now I'm gonna trim this back and defoliate a lot of this tree. Got a big old growth back here. A lot of growth. They were under the lights. Take a peek at the playlist for the Portulacaria Afra. I was part of a study group with the Minnesota Bonsai Society where we talked about these PAs, and you can go back and see the previous episodes of the PA and when I did the first chop in the wintertime when we don't do a lot with our tropical trees. And I think I pruned it once in the winter, the initial prune, one other prune, and now I'm gonna do one here in mid-June. And then it's going to have the rest of the summer to just go ahead. Something to keep in mind when you're going to defoliate your Portulacaria Afra. This is oddly enough the time where you can just let it go without water for several days, even a week. Sometimes more, I've heard from other bonsai enthusiasts. And then when you start to see that growth, then you can water it more. You don't want to oversaturate this succulent tree and have all the roots, you know, just root rot, and it'll just die on me. So I'm going to go ahead and cut most of this stuff off today, and then we're not going to water it for a week or so. And when it starts to grow back again, we can start to water it. Now in Minnesota, with this really hot heat and even the humidity, it's going to grow fine with watering most days. But for this operation, partial or full defoliation, you can let it go for a week without even watering it. It's going to be fine. So one of the reasons, of course, why we can defoliate is we defoliate to see what we're gonna keep, and what we're gonna cut back to. So it'll give us the new shape. Now this is a relatively small PA, but there's a lot of leaves on here. So this operation is going to take a little while. One of the nice things about the PAs, if you a lot of times with the ficus and the succulents, where you have two new buds growing out, like right here and here, super small buds right there and there. This branch, this foliage here, this leaf underneath it, if you just kind of twist it off, it comes right off. So with some of these just around the edge, you can go ahead and pull them off, and you don't have to use your scissors. But then if they don't come off real easy, then you just go ahead and bring your scissors in and get a nice clean cut. So you can speed up the process a little bit by going ahead and using your fingers just on some of those bigger leaves that are tucked underneath the new growth. About 10-15 minutes in, and we're getting there. We're about 3/4 done, maybe a little more. Let's get her done. Coming up here on the last few leaves of the Portulacaria Afra. So, cutting off all the leaves, get some new growth, smaller growth, more ramification by cutting all these tips off and cutting all the leaves off. A lot of members from the Minnesota Bonsai Society, you know, we go back and forth. People talk about having a Japanese maple forest, but a lot of people defoliate their Japanese maples. And if you had to defoliate 5, 6, 7 trees, it's a lot of work. But I tell you, this one PA took about 15 solid minutes of me just cutting off leaves for one tree. There's a lot of leaves on here. Those long internodes on a Japanese maple, it'd still be a lot of work, but I think I'd be able to get there. So one of the things you should be careful of when you are defoliating these guys is to be careful with your sharp scissors. A couple times I poked into the branch. It's a lot of moisture in here, super soft. You have to be careful. Can you see all the green in there? Look at all the green in there. So again, the benefits of doing this, I can only do it here, of course, in the summertime in Minnesota. I would probably never defoliate in the wintertime in the house, in the plant room. But out here, with the warmth we've had this year, this operation should be just fine. And like I said, we're not going to water this thing for a couple of several days, a week for sure, I think. and then we'll keep a close eye on it and see what new shoots start coming out. But now that the tree is defoliated, we can see the skeleton of this tree, right? We can see what we may want to keep or cut away. So let's see if we can make a couple of those decisions. I love the movement on this solo tree, how it leans that way, comes big over that way, and it's almost like I could make a windswept tree now, which is kind of what I would like to try to do a little bit with some of my trees, and this might be a good candidate for that. But if it's windswept, we'll get rid of that one. This one's growing towards another branch. I'm gonna get rid of that one. It's gonna make this one shorter and this one shorter. Windswept all going that way. Let's take the one coming out at us off. Do I take this off because it's crossing this main branch? It's got the windswept look though, but these two are conflicting. So let's cut that one off because of the windswept look. This one, whoops, this one goes against the windswept. So I have one branch coming right here. Maybe this can go up here and do some more wind sweeping. And we'll cut that one there, that one there. Let's cut this one back here. Cut that one back here. There we go. Now as they grow, I would want them to grow this way to keep it windswept, and if it doesn't go windswept, I'm okay with most of it. Now this back here is windswept, but it's kind of getting crossed by everything, so we're gonna go ahead and cut that one off. Now it's not competing against this back here, but now this up here, right here, that one is gonna grow up this way and be more that windswept. Now you've got all these little small nubs that are growing in or towards the camera. You can cut those out. Every other branch here, super nice, except for this one, but it's growing down. This one will cut off. So this branch right here is a nice example of every other. Boom, 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 all on its own. If I wired that, I could wire it into a nice position to show off that branch. We'll leave this here. This is growing too close to that junction, so we'll cut that one off. This is starting to bend backwards, so we're just going to cut it off and hope it continues on its rise up this way. And then again, cleaning up also can mean getting rid of those every other. If there's two branches growing out from the same area like a T, we cut off one side or the other. So this probably would come off someday, huh? Yep, it would. And now we see we have it opened up here, and again, stuff can still grow this way and have this kind of windswept look. But I'm going to leave it right there. So there you have it. A defoliation, a full defoliation of a Portulacaria Afra. And we will put this back on the bench, not water it for a good week, and we'll watch the new growth. And as soon as it starts to get new buds, we'll go ahead and start watering this thing again. And this thing should take off and be really, really full by fall. Can't wait to see that. PA number 2 is a twin trunk. I have this rock in here because it was kind of wobbly and I didn't want it to blow over in any way. It's a heavy pot, but it was real top heavy, and this thing started to shoot out again and have some good growth. And I believe that was the front right there. It's leaning back real far though. Certainly nice and dry. Now, I'm not going to defoliate this one completely first. I'm actually going to style this one first so I can show you both methods. So this one, instead of defoliating it, let's just see if I can make some cut decisions on what I want to do to this tree. got rid of probably 75 to 80% of the foliage, some major branches. And now we got this twin trunk with some nice branching over here, a little bit bigger on the bottom, a little bit smaller yet in the tip. Couple in the back there working on something. Let's get rid of this one hanging down right there. And there's one back here. All right, there's our twin trunk. Our twin trunk defoliated. PA number 3. I may have bit off more than I can chew for this sitting. It's a lot of snipping and cutting. And this is my forest of 3. So that's the 2 previous trees I did together, and maybe even then some. So again, because of the sheer size of this threesome, this forest of 3, I will probably just prune a lot before I just defoliate a lot. Trunks are definitely getting thicker. That is the proposed front for this particular planting at the moment. This tree might want to be twisted more as I have it towards the camera now, not straight on, because this branch comes right out at us. But then this one shoots back to the right. We'll get rid of that one. We'll shorten. We'll shorten. We'll shorten. And we'll shorten. And we'll shorten again. And we'll shorten again. So I got kind of almost a pad forming there. This splits into 2. There's one going backwards now. So cut that one off. This branch over here splits into 2, and then 2 and 2. But I'm going to cut that one off. It's growing in the back through the thick of the forest. And it leaves this branch and this branch. Just going to trim. Milo, I'm right here, Milo. I'm good. It's staring right at us. This one's going to the left. Growing through all that mess. Shorter, shorter. Back here is the tree as well, shorter. And all of this is the tree on the left. Big tree all by itself. Now I haven't defoliated any of that tree, but now that tree looks real nice. All kinds of branching in there. We can do more refinement later. I'm gonna get the other 2 trees so we can kind of see what we have to look at. think I've trimmed about 75 to 80% of what I want to trim. Now I'm starting to get rid of some of the defoliation leaves, where I'm just thinning it out so it can get a lot more light in here, and then have it grow like crazy. This is so thick from the last time I pruned. Again, if you take a peek at the playlist for the Portulacaria Afra, you'll be able to see what I did the last 6 months to this tree. So you see all the trees are kind of leaning back. We'll have to fix that in the next planting. But each tree, this one looks real nice on its own. We'll move that up. This one we can lean up forward more. That one we can lean up more forward. It's looking pretty good. I think we're going to call it. And there's our after. The two Ninebarks have been cleaned up for the summer, and they're back on their benches. One at the upper pond, near the upper pond, and the one that's above the lower pond waterfall. It seems to like that spot really well. So the Ninebarks have been cleaned up. And then I also tackled a couple of the Portulacaria Afras this episode. We got the little twin trunk that we took care of and got that mostly defoliated. We did the full defoliation of the informal upright slant kind of tree. It's one of my favorite as far as movement. That one's in the front of the two on the back bench by the fence, with a partial defoliation and prune for the Portulacaria Afra in the back on that bench. So they're all on the bench, and now we have one more tree to do for the summer cleanup, and that's one of my Japanese maples. Now, this one, though, I want to make sure that we still make this trunk thicker. I'm always going to be wanting to make this trunk thicker, so I want this all to just grow out and thicken up. This tree almost died this year. And if I could show you back here, that's where I lopped it off. I've got pictures of the tree before the death occurred, and this, there's some issue that was going on, and so we cut it off here. You can see there's a little bit of dark blackish color here, and the live vein starts right there below there. So we'll get rid of that here soon. I probably could cut that today as well. But I cut it back to almost nothing on top. Literally almost nothing up here. And you can see here's another branch that was gone. These two main stumps were gone, and everything else now. This is almost 100% growth this spring, summer. So goes to show you how amazing these these trees rather grow. And let me get a close-up of this branch. You'll see how profusely these maples grow. All right. So if you can see the main branch, which is down there, right at the tip of my finger there, look at all the branches coming off of that thing. Right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9, 10, 11 branches coming off that section right there. It's absolutely amazing how much these grow. The branches grow everywhere. So right now, most of this side of the tree is growing on this curly branch here. It's curling up from the front. And it curls up from the front here where this big branch is growing out now, this branch over here, and this branch over here. So there are 4 branches all coming out of that one branch. That'll just become a great big bulge right there. So I don't want a big bulge right there. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna clean up the bottom of this where all these branches are trying to grow. So we got that one out of there. I got that one out of there. I got that one out of there. So you see that weird, this is the main trunk line now because that's where most of the growth is. And there's even some inside growth right in here. There's 3 branches growing from this teeny tiny spot right here. And I lost my other clippers. There they are. Right in here. There's this branch coming in here and this little itty bitty one right there. But I don't even want this one that close to that main new branch. So there's where this tree is going. This new thick growth right here. As a matter of fact, I think I will cut off. You know, the sap isn't rolling as thick right now. And we'll put a little cut paste on it. It's pretty dead. I don't know if it's gonna go. deader it is, the harder it is to cut through it. And watch your head, because it may come flying. There we go. We just took out that dead branch right there. That was dead. No, I don't even think I barely scraped any live tissue here. But because I did open that up a little bit, we'll get it as clean as we can, and we are going to put cut paste on this one today. So, the mission of this tree was to keep it alive and just let it grow out. So I cut it way back this spring at these depth points, right here and here. And this was the only branch that was still viable, and look what it created just this year. So fantastic. And this one's still alive. There's a front branch and a back branch. I'm going to take the back branch off because it'll make a bulge that we don't want. So this can become, hopefully, a new branch. We're just going to leave that alone and not touch it. Now, as far as in here, this is an ugly mess. It goes up and then it almost 90-degree tangles this way. But I got this growing up here, so we got some movement. But this tree is so far from any design, because we're just keeping it alive, that we're just going to clip out some of these branches that we don't need to keep all the energy in the branches that we do need. There's just so many branches trying to be the one that grows tall. So we're going to cut every other. And when we cut every other, we have something that resembles a little bit more of a tree in the future there. And then we'll just shorten, 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 and shorten. So from this side, it's all growing towards you. It's not horrible, it's not great. It's got a nice nabari. Look at the nabari down there. It's flaring out nice and wide. I got a whole bunch of roots growing in different directions. Looks like someone tried to do a little chewing on this tree this year too. Gotta be careful of that. And then from the back side there, if that's the new back, that to hide all the scars anyway, we gotta hope that our tree can grow more this way now instead of growing that way. So this bottom branch here I probably could cut off, and then this will grow. But I'm just gonna let these all grow out now. That's all I'm gonna do right there. We'll let this thing continue to grow for its second flush on these new cuts that I made. So it's spread the oxen down. We'll leave this one alone. And there we go. That's all we're doing. A little bonus summer cleanup here on this tree. Just going to show you how fast maples grow. And you think they're dead, and this one was close. I thought it was a goner, and boy, it just came back with a vengeance. And I didn't repot it this year, so that probably helped. Less stress. So I'll put a little cut paste on this thing and we'll put them back on the benches. Wow, there we go. Some spring cleaning, excuse me, summer cleaning. All right, there we go. Some more summer cleaning, part 3. Oh, there's so much more to do. We'll maybe do a part 4, or we'll just move on to some other projects here down the road. But that does it for another edition. Click like if you haven't done so in the past. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Tell all your friends about Dave's Bonsai. I'd love to share what little I know with everybody, and I'd like to learn from you guys as well. So keep the comments coming, the questions, the corrections, and we'll all learn together. Take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very soon.